What? Yeah. Look, you didn't even kill the gnat.
I can't see it very good. It's so small.
I thought you were an author.
That doesn't mean I have to talk like it all the time.
All right. Them good words you got. Mm-hmm.
Y'all come back now. You here?
What am I doing?
I don't know. What are you doing? Your very best?
No, not even close.
Well, hello. Welcome back to Mindless Prattle.
Oh my gosh, an intro this week? I didn't even, you know how dedicated I was to just leaving it last week? Because we went an entire over an hour. And then I was like, are you going to do the intro? And you're like, oh no, it's too late now. I'll just do it now. And then you can edit it in. Right. And then you did an intro. And then we immediately did the outro. And then I edited it and I took out the intro entirely. And I was like, nope, I'm leaving it out. We missed it. Too bad.
I didn't listen to it yet. Yeah, I listened to them on Mondays.
Not the previous week.
But hi, we're your hosts. I'm Ripley, the person who usually forgets to introduce the podcast and tell you what we're talking about because we don't know. And that's Jordan. And we're both here. Woo!
True.
Neither one of us is sick.
What? No, yeah.
10 out of 10. Do you want to go first, or should we start off strong with the childbirth kink thing?
I mean, you go for it.
Okay.
I still got to type this out real quick.
So listen.
Go on.
I was watching this Bailey Sarian video. She does like murder. She's a YouTuber. She does like murder, mystery, and makeup. And then she also does like dark history. She has a series called Dark History. And she talked about like the dark history of childbirth and how it became what it is today. And like, you're not really, so if you don't know, you're not really supposed to give birth laying down. Like, it's actually really bad for the woman. Like, it's not natural.
Yeah, you're supposed to be walking through the forest, gathering berries.
No, like.
And then the kid drops out and you're like, and then you hand them a basket or a spear, depending if they're a boy or a girl. They may just go into their new lifestyle of hunter or gatherer.
If you're Spartan, I guess. But like, it's more natural for a lot of women to like squat or like bear down, you know, like use gravity to help you eject that basketball coming out of your body. So everything was going well and good. Birth was like mostly kept for women type of thing. And then men got involved. They wanted to make it like a medical procedure back when only doctors, like men could only be the only doctors. So they made it where you have to have like a license and stuff. And they started like making all these medical inventions. And the guy who invented like the modern day like birthing hospital bed where women lay down designed it because he said it was easier for the physician.
Yeah,
Great.
to sit there.
Yeah, awesome for you, dude. But then King Louis XIV promoted the idea because apparently he had a kink for watching women give birth, which back then, like, you weren't, like, nobody was allowed in besides, like, the doctor and, like,
yeah, the
women.
husband usually wasn't allowed in.
Yeah, like, it was rare, like, not social custom at all. So, like, that's very faux pas back then. But basically, because Louis XIV had a childbirth kink, women have to suffer.
Was he the one? Which king was it that has all the wives?
That's Henry VIII of England.
The one that like broke away from. Was it England that broke away from the church because he wanted to divorce?
Yeah, that's King Henry VIII. His wives were divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived.
Yeah, obviously.
I learned that rhyme in school.
I remember the rhyme, but I didn't know the king.
Yeah, he was so horny for Anne Boleyn that he divorced his wife of like 20 years and separated from the Catholic Church, created his own church, and then beheaded Anne Boleyn because she didn't give him a son.
Yeah, and then what was it? The study? I don't know if it's a real study or not. I never looked into it, but I saw the headline for a study once, and it just, yeah, that's how it works.
Like the abstract, or like
the headline.
What's the headline in a study?
Like if you're scrolling through like news stories and there's a headline, and it's like
a news story about a study. Okay.
Anyway, it was the correlation between dick size and gender of the baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that study was like Oh, obviously, the longer the dick, you have now given a better chance of having sons instead of daughters. And I just thought that was always funny. I don't know
I
if
thought it
it's
was
true.
oh, yes, actually, so that there is a correlation. It's because female sperm are, like, typically healthier, but they're slower, so they take longer to get to, like, an egg, but male sperm are really quick, but are more often likely to be deformed or have issues that prevent them from penetrating the
So what you're saying is I have a high chance of having a son.
egg.
No? Okay.
I don't even know what to say to that. But, like, my family mostly has daughters, and then I feel like your family is, like, 50-50.
Is it?
Yeah, like, it seems like y'all have a pretty even mix of girls
Whoa,
and
whoa,
boys.
whoa. Let's look at where we're getting the sperm from in my family, all right? It's 2/3. It is. I have a brother, me, and one sister. It's not half.
Well, it's close enough.
It's not close enough. It is
Listen,
in fact
do you have something to talk about
16.6666666%.
besides this?
Why are you trying to change subjects? We're talking about the male birth rate of a family. All right.
Okay.
How it's important.
Well, my sister has, like, well, 2 and 1, so she still has more girls than boys.
Yeah, but that's with two different people.
That's 2
The
different
first
fathers.
one's 50-50, so the jury's out on him. But the second one, only one
God.
daughter. So that's all I'm saying.
I don't wanna think about that. I
You
don't
don't
wanna
want to
think
think
about
about
my
how
family
small it
members like
is? All
that,
right.
no.
I'm just saying.
No, thank you, thank you.
Meanwhile, with my cousin, 3 boys. He's 3-0. I'm just saying.
Which one?
I'm not
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
gonna say.
You have so many. Our cat's, like, trying to eat the plastic stuff Jordan's computer rests on the
No,
phone.
she's trying to eat a cable. She was doing that to your headphones the other day.
Was she really?
She was laying in your chair while you were at work, and the headphone cable was going across the chair because you like to entangle the two, like they're
Yeah.
connected like soulmates. And she
Maybe
looked
they
up,
are,
like
Jordan.
I pet her, and she looked up and she went, "What?" and just bit the cord like real hard. And I was like, "Stop it!" And like I grabbed her, and she was like, and like choked up the cord that she was biting on. I'm like, "What are you doing?"
I watched this video earlier on TikTok, and this, like, pet doctor lady was like, "Oh, there's 2 types of purrs in cats, and this one means that they're requesting something from you, and this one means that they're, like, content or happy." And I
Mhm.
listened to them, and I was like, the first one sounds like the cats when they're asleep. The second one sounds like the cats when they are making biscuits.
Yeah.
So
Did you did you by chance today? Did you don't make that face. Did you by chance today? Did you happen to catch what they looked like when you hissed at their squirrel?
No, did you take a video?
No, but I want to. Where were you at? Were you on the couch?
No, I went over to the door and I was like I was chastising the squirrel.
Yes, of course.
As one does, I was like, "Listen, knock it off. They're inside, you're out there, you're fine. Eat your little nuts and go." Like, I refilled the feeder, there was plenty out there. That bitch came here like 10 times today. He would not stop coming here to eat. Like, "Mr. Squirrel, is there another, like, winter storm coming or something, and he's stocking up all the nuts?" I don't know. But he was over on our porch way too fucking much, frankly. But the cats were inside chilling. The second time he came up, Chipmunk was out there, and I came up and I was like, "Oh, she in hunter mode." Like, her ears were back. She was like a tiger, like readying her body. She almost caught him. He just barely went down the side of the thing before, and I was like, "Oh
You
no."
you skipped the best part of the first one. You were not
Oh,
chastising.
yeah. So after
You
I finished chastising the
chastised.
squirrel, I told Jordan I was getting really annoyed because I was trying to read, I was trying to relax, and the squirrel was being so fucking loud. He was like, like over and over, just screeching and I'm like, "Sir, you're fine. Go away." So finally, I decided I would just hiss at the squirrel because, like, that's what the cats do when they want things to leave them alone. So I figured it would scare the squirrel off. So I was like,
Yeah.
like the cats
It's
do.
better in person. All right, well, I mean that's
And then after 2 times of doing that, he fucked off.
Also could have just tapped the glass, but either one.
I tried that. Motherfucker was not having it. He was being brave today. Like I said, he kept
So
coming back.
you're just not scary at all, huh?
No, because he got attacked by our cat, and he still came back later while both cats were out on the porch.
He didn't get caught by her.
And
That's
Sweet Roll
different
didn't
than
give a
attacked.
shit.
That's threatened.
She's got him though. Like she smacked him, and like I said, it was real close. Like he barely got away. And then both cats are out there, and this time Chipmunk just watched him the whole time. Didn't try to attack him. I don't know if they're forming a pact and becoming friends, but
she's like, "You lead the birds here. Tastes like chicken.
You can keep having the nuts."
Yeah.
And Sweet Roll, she was laying in the chair, and she didn't give a shit. She has no predator instincts in her little dumb body.
Wow, all right. Way to just insult my cat like that.
I mean, she really acts like she has one brain cell sometimes. Like I said, she was doing backflips earlier for a toy, and I was like, girl, you're gonna...
Oh, I'm sorry that my cat is happy and has fun, and your cat lays around all day and is emotionally supporting your depression. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, but
my bad.
She literally knocked herself into the coffee table. I was like, you're gonna give yourself a concussion if you continue at this rate, cat.
Look, she's never felt so good, all right?
I know.
Sickness gone. She put the worms all over your blankets. Now she doesn't have any. Like, it's a whole thing. I had to wash
everything.
Okay.
Did we talk about that last week?
We did, but here's what the funny part of it was, right? I looked at one of the camera feeds last during that whole thing because you were like freaking out about stuff, right?
Oh no, what did you see?
And it was after you were like, I had to wash everything, and you were going to bed. And you were like, oh no, the comforter isn't dry yet. So you put it on the couch to dry and then went to bed with a different blanket. And then I immediately watched Sweet Roll jump up on the blanket that was drying, the comforter that you just washed, and just roll around on it. And I was like, what was the point in washing it? You put it in her reach.
So did you see my near psychotic breakdown?
No, I didn't look at that.
Oh, okay. Because I found the little worm piece, and I was like talking myself down, man. I was like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's just a worm. You can wash your hands. You can wash everything. It's fine. You don't have to freak out. Like I was like calming myself down. I was like, ooh, buddy, they decided to test me today. Worms.
Boy, you've been going through soda. Okay.
I quit smoking nicotine.
Oh my god, dude. It's like nicotine's cheaper. Like fuck. Like it's crazy. Because last time I was here was 2 weeks ago. And there were 5 cases of soda. And then I came back today and there was 3 cases of soda, but not the same soda. 3 new cases, not even remotely the same. And I was like, wow, that's interesting how we went through 5 cases in 2 weeks, most of which I guarantee got poured out because that's just the way you operate. And
honestly, not a lot of it. A few because I fell asleep and it went flat, but I think that's from the wax thingy.
What are you doing here? You're supposed to be telling a story.
You're distracting me. You're messing with my
shit. I'm not distracting anything. I'm pointing out how gross it is.
I think it's wax. I don't know if it'll come out. I was thinking about getting a new one of these, but your sister got me this, so I didn't want to.
You're not making a lot of sense in the podcast eyes.
Okay, so there's this circle stain thing on my web. What is this called? Mat. What kind of mat? Mouse pad. Mm-hmm. It's like a giant mouse pad. And there's a stain from my wax melter on there. And if I scrub it, it'll come out.
And her immediate reaction was to lie to me and go, I don't think it'll come out. And then she started rubbing it while she was giving that description, and half of it is now out.
Okay, so, I wasn't lying. I genuinely didn't think it would come out. So I will scrub it later.
So you just didn't even attempt it? Oh my God. That's even worse. It was there until now. That's even worse. Look down. Use your new eyeballs. You got contacts, right? Use them.
I'm out of them.
Oh my gosh.
Ripley got contacts. I tried to put the last one in today, and I could not. I lost it.
So Ripley got contacts this week, and it has been just a true highlight of my week. It's been so fun of emotions, just roller coastering back and forth of, I hate these things. They'll never be in my eyes. They live elsewhere. I'm evicting them. I got them in. Everything's nice. I can see everything. Yay. It's immediately back. And you're like, all right. Wow.
Literally, when I was at the optometrist, he put them in the first time and then took them out. It was awful. I couldn't figure like, I don't understand. I've never had a problem touching my eye or anything like that. Like, I put makeup in my eye. Like, I line my water line with makeup and all this stuff. Like, I'm fine with things being near my eye like that. But oh my god, he would get near me and I'd be like, like I just blink. I couldn't help it. And he's like, he kept complaining. He's like, you have such long eyelashes. And he was really nice about it, but I was like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, you know.
The first time that they put contacts in my eyes, that man like half on assaulted me, right?
What?
Like it hurt, and I was like, he's like, it's gonna hurt. And I was like, I feel like it shouldn't.
No.
And like, he's like, you ever, well, here's what it was. He's like, okay, he asked me to touch my eye, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, sure. And I touched it and like it hurt. So I was like blinking a lot. And I was like, why did I do that? And he goes, all right, so you're not used to things touching your eyes. Because like you said, like you do makeup and this
Mhm.
stuff touches your eyes, so you get more used to it. I was like, yeah, why would stuff touch my eyes? That's crazy talk. And he's like, yeah, this will probably hurt a little bit. Then I was like, what? And then like just going at it. And I was like, and he's like, look at the point on the ceiling. I'm like, what point? And there's like a little dot like on the ceiling that just says, look here. And I'm like, what is that for? And he goes, for this situation. And I'm like, all right, well, like,
Really?
like it was only there so that people getting contacts in could stare at, because otherwise you're staring straight ahead at the wall to get the exam done. I've never
Oh,
looked up.
really? They had my
Yeah.
chair, like, slightly tilted back, or, like, he told me to tilt my head back, and then he said, "Just look straight and keep your eyes open, I'll do
Yeah.
the rest."
Yeah.
But
Mine
he
said
every
that
time I
same
blinked and stuff,
thing.
he stopped. He was like he wasn't rude about it. He's like, "Okay, well, just give your eye a minute to adjust, and then I'll try again."
No, see, mine said there's a dot on the ceiling with one hand like prying open my eye and the other hand like wiggling in the contact. And I was like, where am I looking? I'm trying to see, but your finger's in the way. And he was not having it. He's like, no, it needs to go in here. Boop. And I was like, all right.
Ah.
So I was sitting there blinking and I'm like, I can see, but everything's watery. And he's like, yeah, just keep blinking. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I walked out. I was like, thank goodness that's done for today. And I can see. And then she's like, okay, sit down right here. I'm like, yeah. She goes, here's a mirror. And I'm like, they're not glasses. I don't need to see myself. I know I look good. And she's like, no, take out the contacts. And I was like, no. I was like, but they took so long to get in. She's like, yeah. And now you need to prove to us that you can take them out. And I was like, but that's wasteful. They're already there. Just
How
leave
old are
them.
you?
I was in like middle school.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, but that's wasteful. She's like, no, you have to prove you can take them out, otherwise we can't send you home. And I'm like, am I imprisoned here? Like I'm gonna leave. Like what the? But then again, I
They
was
won't give you the prescription.
not an adult. Well, that too, but like I was not an adult, so my mom was like, take them out, and I was like, oh, okay. So like I took them out, and lady came back. She's like, good. Here's two more, and she got the feeling, like she knew. She got the feeling. She's like, you're gonna be here a fucking while. And so she hands me two, right? Like two contacts because my eyes were the same. She's like, they're the same. You got to put them in. She goes, I'll be back in a minute. And I was like, okay. I assume she left because she knew it was going to take me a minute to get them in. So here's what happened. She stood up and like took a step towards the door. And then I immediately followed up with, I lost one. And like,
Oh my gosh.
she turns back around. She goes, what? Like it's lost in your eye? And I was like, no, like I opened the package and I tried to pick it up and I don't know where it went. And of course, I don't have glasses or
And you couldn't
contacts.
see,
I don't
yeah.
have glasses or contacts in right now, so I can't see shit. And she's like, well, where did it go? And I'm like, do you know what lost means? Like, I don't know. You should, like, you can see, right? Like, so she comes over and she looks for about like that long. And she goes, I'll go get another one. And like walked off. And I was like, all right. And so I grabbed the other one, opened it more gently this time because I felt like that would help me somehow. And took it. And I was looking in the mirror. I immediately just like put it in. I was like, oh, that was cool. And she came back and she saw me just sitting there and she's holding the other one. She hands it to me and I start opening. She goes, oh, you didn't have to wait for me. I said, oh, I didn't. She goes, did you lose the other one? I was like, no, it's in my eye. And she goes, I was only gone for like a minute. And I was like, yeah. And I've been sitting here for like 48 seconds. I don't know. I gotta
Bragger.
yeah, I was like, I don't know. And so then like the way that I did the first one, she's like, okay, prove it. And I was like, okay. Like it wasn't in my eye and she could just look. Well, I was like, "Okay." So I tried it with the second one, and the second one just wasn't happening. She goes, "Alright, I'll be back later." Like, she stood up and left again, and I was like, "Oh, no." Like, now I've lost the trust and
Performance pressure.
confidence. I've lost the trust and confidence, and what it was is with my left eye, I can open it pretty wide with just 2 fingers,
Jesus.
but on my right, I can't do as much because my nose is in the way, so, like, I can't open it as wide,
You can't use your other hand?
so it fucked me up, right? So then I had to, like, figure out some new way, so then I do it like this now, like, with my just my, left hand going around my nose because my nose was in the way, and I figured that out real quick because I was like, "I don't want this bitch to come back and me still be struggling." So I put it in, and I was like, "Great, these are wildly uncomfortable." And here's the other part of it too, was like I didn't get told anything, right, about the contacts. Everybody in my family wore monthly contacts. If you don't know, monthly, there's two different kinds of well, there's a bunch of different kinds, but the main ones, there's daily contacts and there's monthly contacts. Monthly contacts is like the ones you see in the movies where they take them out of that special little case and they put them in their eyes, and then at the end of the day, you take them out of your eyes and
Mhm.
you put them back in that case and you put a little more saline solution
Yeah.
in there and you like close them off and you're like, "I'll see you tomorrow." Like, and
Yeah, I
there's
think
that.
Chelsea used to use those.
Right, and they last for a whole month. They're good for like 30 days, like depending on how long you wear them each day, right?
Mhm.
And then there's dailies, which are much thinner, but they only last a day because if you take them out, they dry out so fast that you can't use them again the next day. Which I didn't know this, and no one had ever told me this because I was just like, "Ma, I can't see," and she took me to the optometrist, and then she was like, "Do you want contacts?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll try them. Like, why not?" Painful, but then it's better now. But they didn't explain that to me. So for like the first week, they only gave me the two contacts. They're like, "This is left, this is right." And I'm like, "Aren't they the same prescription?" They're like, "Oh yeah, they are." I'm like, "All right, well then why did you even?" So then here's what happened. I took them out that night, perfectly fine, whatever. Got ready for school the next morning, was like trying to put in the left one, got it in, was trying to put in the right one, and it just was having a bad day. Like, it wouldn't go in. Like, half an hour I was sitting there trying to put it in. It's like where to the point where I was looking at it and I'm like, man, I have never been with more of a bloodshot eye than right now. Like, I couldn't get it. I was like, I don't know
Ugh,
what
I
happened.
can feel the burning already.
And so, like, finally I was like, all right, last attempt, and then I'm just gonna say fuck it and take the other one out. And God heard me. And so I stabbed myself. And I was like, "Papa, get in there." And I was like, "Oh, I don't feel it." I was like, "This is great."
Oh.
I was like, "This is great. It's perfect." And then I look around and I was like, "Nope, it is not in my eye." And I look around and I'm like, "I have no idea where it is. It's gone.
Was it in your
It's
eye?
gone." No, it was gone.
Okay.
I
Because have
was
you ever
like,
seen those videos of, like, old people with dementia forgetting to put
"Oh
contacts
yeah,
in,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
pull out, like,
Oh yeah,
70? Oh, that's a fear of mine.
yeah." So no, it was gone. So my mom comes down and she's like, "You ready to go to school?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. I can't see." And she's like, "Just put your contacts in." And I was like, "See about that. Like, what what do you think I've been doing here?" I'm like, "You know how normally," I told her, I'm like, "You know how normally I'm get ready for school and then I go up and we have breakfast and then you take me to school?" And she's like, "Yeah, you didn't come up this morning." I'm like, "What do you think I've been doing?" Like, it's a whole thing. Anyway, it was gone. She's like, "Well," it's like, "well, you can't go with just one." I'm like, "I realize that." So I took it out and I put it in the case.
You have
And
to wear your
she's like,
glasses
and I
or
was so like, she could tell I was real upset. I was like, "Son of a fucking coming." So I put my glasses on. She's like, "I'll go get another contact today from the optometrist. It's fine. Like, don't worry about it. Well, you'll try again tomorrow." I was like, "All right,
Mhm.
cool, sure." So I wore those. I just went to school with glasses. I wore those for like a week, and every day I would take them out like halfway through the day because they just hurt my eyes so much. I told my mom, I'm like, "They hurt. Like, I'm switching to glasses halfway through like every day." And she's like, "Yeah, we need to change that." So we went back to the optometrist, and I was like, and they were like, "Well, what hurts about them?" I'm like, "They're so thick. It feels like there's a pane of glass in my eyes." And they're like, "Well, that's pretty much what it is." I'm like, "Well, no." They're like, "Oh, well, we have these much thinner options." I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay." I'm like, "Why didn't we try both of those on the first thing?" They're like, "Oh, because they said everyone in your family wears monthlies." And I'm like, "I guess." So then they gave me these dailies. I put them in like same as I've been practicing. Proud of myself. Same as I've been practicing, and immediately I was just like, I can't feel them. I can see things. I was like, order these. And they're like, they're a little bit more expensive. I'm like, yeah, but I can see. Like, I don't care. What? Like, you're gonna have to like carry around like a big case of them. I'm like, oh no, like I don't, whatever. Hey, we carry around. You mean put them in the bathroom and then use them each morning? Like, I don't care. Plus, there is been a number of times where you go out drinking with friends. Little turn of the story. You go out drinking with friends and you get back at the end of the night and they're like, where's my contacts case? I gotta take them out. I'm like, that sucks. And I just take them out and I chuck them in a random direction. They're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, dailies, motherfucker. And then I move on.
Yeah, that's what I think a benefit too will be for my bachelorette party. I can just wear contacts and not worry about my glasses.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing too, if you're wearing contacts for long periods of time or like over many years or whatever it is, and you don't wear glasses and then you wear glasses, it's very jarring because you'll get so used to it and then you'll put glasses on and you'll look to the right and you'll just suddenly not be able to see shit because you're looking around your glasses and normally you're looking through your contacts still. It's very jarring whenever like I wear my glasses on the weekends usually, but when I wear my glasses, I have to turn my whole head to look at things because otherwise I'll use my peripheral vision and I can't see shit. Like I'm like, I never got used to it. I'm
For
like,
me,
that's
they
weird.
said my vision's only slightly worse, so I think that's good. It means it's like slowing down each year.
Mhm.
But it is a little worse, so I did get the new glasses prescription.
That's good.
And then the contacts are nice. When I tried them on, um, my left eye, so easy. I don't know what it is about it. My left eye, I'm like, boom, got it. And they were like, wow, that was really quick. Like, great job. It was like, I think 7 minutes total the first time.
It's because your left
Um,
hand's using it. Same for me.
no, I did it this way the same way.
Well, that's what I'm
Wait, did
saying.
it?
Like your left hand on the left side of your face feels more natural, so it's easier. But your left hand on your right side of your face doesn't feel as natural.
But yeah, this one, like, I have to like tilt. So I couldn't get it in with the traditional way, like where people like
Me
pull up,
neither.
like it just my eye just won't open like that. Like it seriously won't. So he was like, okay, the
I
doctor had
want to see
another.
you try. I haven't seen you try.
I don't have any contacts right now, but I
No,
guess
no, just like that is not the traditional way. That is gross. I don't know what you're
that's what
trying
they
to
told
do.
me. You should do this and then use a finger to.
No, just use two fingers. See, you're like way off. You need to get close to your eyelashes. Like poke your eyelashes and then
I don't
open.
like that.
Well, yeah, you only got to do it for like 10 seconds each morning.
But holding my eyelashes, I can't. So his assistant comes out and she has really long, thick eyelashes, and she goes, "No, girl, I completely understand you. I'll show you what I do." And she said she just uses like 3 fingers to pull down her cheek, and I sometimes
Yeah,
will pull down my whole
where
eyelid.
your index finger is, that's where your thumb needs to be, so you can
But
open.
so like I just pull down my cheek, I tilt my head down and look straight up into the mirror, and then put it like at the bottom part, and then slide up and let it adjust. And that's worked really well.
Sliding it in also like takes more work than like tapping it in, but
My doctor said that for me, it might be better because he's I don't know, like, he was observing and he was just like, "From the way you're doing it, it might be easier for you to, like, slide it in." But they did tell me to make sure, like, to not let it suction cup or anything like that, and,
yeah.
those little things.
Mhm.
Cleaning it, they tell me how to clean it, the eye bubbles. I will say my eyes are much more sensitive with the
See, I
contacts.
don't understand that. They told you to clean them before you put them in your eye?
Mm-mm. He just showed me how to clean them. I didn't know if he was
Oh.
telling me I should do that every time or
No,
if, like, that
okay,
was just
I was confused because
because
I
he showed
saw
me
you
everything
doing
at the
it, and
same
I was like,
time. But no, I drop it a lot too because my hands shake, so I have to clean it a lot because there's cat hair.
yeah, because nobody wipes off the bathroom
No,
counter.
I wipe it off. She just gets up there every fucking night.
I don't believe you because you said you cleaned like a few days ago.
I'm just saying I do clean. It's not like it doesn't happen.
Just not like in depth or.
Oh my god. But then I'll be doing my makeup and getting ready, and the cats will come and jump up on the counter and walk across and stuff. And I'm like, please leave
The
me the fuck
things that are
alone.
on that counter are not cat hair. Like I find your hair more than theirs, and then I find just like toothpaste or like random like products that you use, and it's just the whole sink is usually just sticky. And I'm like, I don't know what's happened here, but it's not a cat. The cat does not do that.
Or like I'll get like a little fuzzy from a towel on my finger, and I'm like,
Why are you drying your hands off?
because he told me to wash my hands and dry them.
No, I don't dry shit. I rinse my hands off with the water and then just use that.
Maybe
But
that's
like,
what I
I'm
should
not gonna
do.
dry my hands because then, of course, you're gonna get all the fur all over your contacts, and it's gonna sting a lot when you put them in.
Yeah, and it takes me so long and so many times to get them in. I didn't think about rehydrating them every single time. Like you said, if I do it twice, then I should, make it wet
Yeah,
again.
if you can't get the contact in like after 2, maybe 3 attempts, you should re-wet the whole thing and just between it and your finger and try again.
Which when I did
there's
that,
just too much on it.
when you told me that, I did my contacts lasted longer that day, but I do have sensitive eyes, and my allergies tend to show more in my eyes than anywhere else. So I've been using eye drops a lot. Like my eyes are even like dry and tired right now. But I did read a lot today. So we've been watching Bridgerton. I made Jordan start it.
You mean made? You always say that like it's yes, I had a gun. He did it finally.
No, like I asked him to, and he said sure.
Made.
And then I've been reading the Bridgerton series because I've never read it before, even though I've seen the show. But the new season's coming out in May and June, so I told Jordan we should watch it. And then he was like, "Why would I want to watch it?" And I was like, "It's spicy." And he said, "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" And I was like, "Let's watch it." So we've been watching it.
It's not as spicy as you made it out to be. Like the first 4 episodes, there was nothing.
You have
but
to
like
wait
a hand
until
touch.
they're married.
Ooh, a hand touch.
Because it's the time period. You have to wait till they're married, and then when they're married, it's like there's like a scene that they like fuck in the rain outside in like this gazebo or something. Like
Gazebo.
I don't know how to explain it. You'll see it soon. But like this episode right after they get married is literally just like sex, 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 and then the drama starts. But
like there was more sex involved in the scene where she was trying to touch herself for the first time than like any other scene. And they were like, even the kissing like that they did, it was less sexual than that. And I was like, all right. Like,
I like the way they frame it because I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's not like for the male gaze type of thing, but like that episode, that scene where they're touching hands in the gallery, I think that's one of the sexiest scenes in that season. Like, I think the way they do the music.
I think it's romantic. I don't think it's sexy.
I think romance is sexy.
See, that's very different. Like, there's 2 different things there. That's why there's 2 different words for them.
But it's the same for me.
It's not the same.
Like, it's about desire.
Romance can be sexy, but romance is not sexy all the time.
Desire is sexy. And the way they frame that scene with how slow it is, and like, they're not technically allowed to be touching each other. It's like they're doing something daring.
What are you talking about? They're not allowed to touch each other. They touch each other all the time. They go dancing all the time is more intimate than that.
When they're chaperoned and you're doing dances that you've been taught by like they're taught to do those dances for that purpose, and they're chaperoned, but you were not allowed to be alone with a male.
How does she get into the play? Like, what are you talking about? They had to get in there somehow. Like every scene that they
escorted by their parents.
Every scene that they show up in, their parents are already in the room, and then they walk in and she's holding his arm. Like she's holding, like they had to have touched outside the room first and then walked in.
Well, sometimes
like what?
Sometimes like your parent will be there, and then you'll meet the guy there, and he'll escort you to the ball to signal together.
I know that part. I'm telling you, in some of those scenes, her parents, her mom, and his lady, whatever, they were already in the ballroom when they walked in touching. Okay,
well, I'm saying
so they had to have been touching outside the ballroom together.
Of the thing, Jordan. I'm
just because
saying
it wasn't on camera doesn't mean they didn't touch.
Okay, well, I'm saying that I like that scene.
You're like, oh, we touched in front of a painting. It's much sexier this way.
It is.
It is.
It's very intimate. How you can say so much just by a hand touch, even though they don't want to admit their feelings for each other.
She was saying a lot. She was talking about wanting to be free and open in the countryside. It was way more sexual than the touch. Like, just saying.
Okay,
like, well, you were paying attention to what they were doing. I was paying attention to what they were saying.
Mm-hmm. Well, if we get to the wedding and everything tonight, then you'll get to see lots. Okay. But so, what are you thinking about it overall? How do you think about it overall?
What do you mean?
Like, what do you think about the show?
Most of the people are dumb. The lady, the short one, that's pudgier. She's the writer.
Yep. Why do you think that?
Because it was down to between the two. I can't remember what it was, but I was convinced it was between her and Eloise. I was close. And it was between those two, and she had just an unnatural obsession with finding her, so it's the other
one. Why?
Because it was between those two. I can't remember why. That's what I told you. Like, I narrowed it down to those two in an episode.
Do you have a reasoning, though?
Yeah, I narrowed it down to those two in an episode, like in one of the first couple episodes we watched. And then, like, a whole day passed, and I was like, who was it again? You were like, oh, you thought it was between these two. And I was like, oh, right. And then that whole stuff happened where one of them was really trying to look for the other one. And I was like, wow, it's the other one then. Like, why would you be convinced of that? It's the shorty.
Okay, well, they do let you know by the end of the season.
That's fine.
It's only like 8
episodes. They can let me know I'm right whenever they want.
And then I'm reading the books, and man, I like the books better, but they're pretty controversial on Goodreads.
It's also a lot of predictability to it.
Yeah, they're romance novels. They have a formula, and they have to end in a happily ever
No,
after.
no, no. I'm talking about the episodes themselves, like all the things that are happening. Like it's very. It's not like a huge turn. Like she went and talked to the prince now. Like we already
That's
saw
probably
that
why I
coming.
like it
You're
so
like all
much,
right.
though. Like, I don't
Like the
I get
dialogue
nervous watching shows if I
the
don't know what's going
dialogue is
on.
fun because like there's witty
Yeah,
banter
that's what
and
I
the
like. It's
music is really
fun.
nice
It's
because
fun and calm.
it's
Sorry.
classical no you're good, it's like classical versions of fun songs, so I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, this is fun music, and whatnot. But the overall I'm just like, yeah, I mean they're gonna get found out, like, oh, and then it happens, you're like, oh, crazy, who could have
Yeah, I do
guessed,
think
like,
the scene so
oh.
spoilers for Bridgerton, if you haven't seen it and you wanna watch it, you should probably not be listening to this. But the scene where Daphne and Simon are in the garden, they start making out, they make it look pretty tame in the show, actually, like, he's just, like, grabbing her breast. But I read the book, and in that scene, he's literally, like, tugged down the bodice of her dress to suck on her nipple. She's like a virgin, never been kissed, never been nothing except for with Simon. And then her brother walks in and they just like tug her dress up. And that's why her brother beats the shit out of him because he's literally like sucking on a titty in the gardens. Like,
Yeah. Well, and that's what I told you. Remember, not the sucking on titty thing, but like, remember when she stormed off and he followed her, and I was like, oh, they're alone. They're gonna kiss at least. And I was like, well, I said they're gonna fuck, and you're like, yeah. I'm like, well, they're kissing at least, and then they did. I'm like, oh, what a shocker! Like it's,
but I think
I'm
for
like,
me and a lot of women that enjoy like because it is based on like these silly romance books, that's what I have always called them, like silly little romance stories. Like it's very formulaic, it's very calm, like you know what's gonna happen, you know that there's gonna be like this silly little drama and stuff, but at the end of the day, like it's all gonna be good. It's all gonna be the romance and the couple in love, and that's what I like about it.
I don't
It's
think it's a
predictable.
I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just not like super exciting. Like 80%, I'm just like, yeah, all right, yeah, we're getting to the next
I do
scene.
think you'd like season 2 better, because the couple in that season, they're like basically enemies to lovers. They're very like angry and like passionate when they speak to each other. They're like mad about liking each other. So they'll be like, "You vex me," and like they'll just
Yeah,
argue, and
still.
you'll probably like that more because like of course it's like kind of the same thing, but you know. I do like the books a lot because it adds so much depth to characters. Like she includes something like like Simon has a stutter. Like everybody has like some big thing they're carrying in the novels, and I think that's really cool.
What was she carrying?
There's people who experience
No,
like
no, no, the main one of this season.
her family's expectations mostly and wanting to have a child and being in love with him and him not wanting to
That's
marry
not
her.
her carrying. That's the stereotypical woman of
I
the
wasn't saying
time.
both of them. I was saying like it's like there's always like a
I was thinking something unique to her of like what she's dealing with. That's every
the
woman in the
first one I
show.
feel like is really more about Simon and like his struggles.
That's what I'm saying. Like you were like, oh, everyone has the thing they're carrying. Well, he does because we've seen lots about it. But she's just
And
the
Daphne's mostly
stereotypical
just
like she's there.
yeah, well, she's mostly just worried about having to get married because she's the first woman in her family who's doing so. So it's like the pressure of being the first, setting up a good match for her sisters. Because while the men like took care of everything else, like for women, their power was marriage. Like you marry the highest in the pecking order that you can, so that your siblings will also have a chance and will have better connections to also live a good life and be taken care of. Because they were property, they had to rely on everybody around them.
Is there no royal family in this universe? Because like there's the queen, and then they mention the king,
They'll
but
show him
like
soon.
I no, that's fine that there's a king, whatever. But like, do they not have any kids?
No, they do. They'll show them.
But that's
But
what
they
like
don't live
it.
in the castle anymore because 'cause they're old.
That's fine, but they're just never mentioned at all. And like, who are they married to?
They'll talk about it later.
Are they married to like other royalty from other nations?
Yeah, well, so the queen's not even in the books, like, they just added her in the show, which I think is great, like, it kinda ties everything together. But, like, there's Queen Charlotte, which is the spinoff about the queen's backstory, and it goes into the royal family a lot more, but there are scenes in Bridgerton as well, like, I think they show a funeral and, like, all the royal family is there and stuff like
Like the
that.
only one I know is that one of her the queen's family members married somebody in the Prussia royal
Mhm.
family because they're like he shows up and they're like, this is my cousin, and you're like, okay.
Hello.
Or was it the nephew? Is that what it
I think
was?
it's her nephew, yeah.
Yeah, so like one of his
She
siblings or her
was Queen
siblings,
Charlotte,
I
I
don't
believe,
know.
she was like the Princess of Habsburg or something like that, like she's the German princess.
Bro, I'm sure.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but I think that's correct. So yeah, her sister or whatever, I guess, his son.
Also, are there no other like dukes in this fucking show? Like they only ever mentioned him, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure the royal family would have more than one duke.
Yeah, I think they mentioned more
Like,
later, but like it's romance. Like they focus on one like couple at a time, and that's like the main theme. They don't really go into detail much else.
right, but
Like the show added a lot comparatively.
yeah, but they mentioned like all the other lords and like their titles and what they're in charge of and this and that. But they only ever mentioned one duke. I'm like, why do you only have one duke like ever? And also like the dukes and like the no like nobility were expected to stay in England. So like why was the queen okay with the
Yeah,
duke
but
just
they're
traveling wherever
expected
the
to
fuck
stay
she
in
want like he
England,
wants?
but not in London. Well, he wasn't the Duke yet.
It was.
He
He returned from the trip and was like, "Welcome back, your grace." Like he was already a duke and he was gone.
No, so
Like
he came back because his father. So actually, they don't show it very well in the show. Like in the show, they show his father dying and him being there and then leaving. But in the book, he was not there for his father's death. Like his father didn't know about his vow to not have kids or anything like that. Like he came back only because his father died and he had to become the duke. So
that would make much more sense
the show kind of
of
bumped that up.
them
I
like
didn't think about that, but you're right. That is
but
a
that's
good
what I'm
plot
saying.
hole.
Like, why would he where was he at? He was already a duke and he was just gone somewhere. But then the show's also like, yes, I'm leaving tonight. And you're like, where will he go? And be like, I don't know, my train leaves at this time. And you're like, I mean,
I don't
where
know
the
why they
hell
put
do
it
you
that way.
go?
He
Or no,
goes to
his
his like
boat.
summer home.
Right, but he's like, oh, my ship leaves at 9, right? You leaving England then? Because like there's
Yeah,
no
where are you
ship
going,
way.
dude?
Like that's what I'm saying. Like he's just like, fuck it, I'm leaving. Like, and the queen's just like, yeah, my only duke, he can leave whenever he wants.
Ugh.
Like what? It doesn't make any
Yeah, I
sense.
guess like they should
Like
have gone.
nobility wise,
They
he
should have
should stay
I
there.
guess like maybe they don't expect people like us to be like, okay, how does this lineage work thing? You know?
Like also, yeah, that too. But also, like the king and queen just definitely had the power to be like, you duke, you're marrying her. Like they definitely had that power.
Well, the king is delirious, and the queen believes in love matches.
Right, but you know what I'm saying. Like the queen
But
initially said that the prince like she's like, "Oh, the prince and her would make a good match." She could have easily been like, "Hey, you two, you're getting married." Like that's
well,
not a
I think that
uncommon
comes up in the
thing.
next episode because like they have to request permission from the queen to marry, and she's like, "My nephew, motherfucker."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what didn't make any
And
sense to me. I'm
I think
like,
she even says,
as
"You know, I
soon
could
as
command you to do it."
that's what I'm saying. Like, it didn't make any sense when the prince showed up and she's like, "Oh, you should definitely talk to her." I'd be like, "You're in charge of her." Just be like, "Hey, you're marrying him." Like, that's
But
it.
I also so
That's
this
it.
also the thing is though, like as you noted, like they talk about like, oh, women can't do this, women can't do that a lot because it's made by Shonda Rhimes and she talks about like a lot of social issues and they changed a lot of things in this world, like incorporating like there's no segregation or anything like that in this world. The
Yeah.
queen is a person of color, like I think like they just didn't really want it to be like I think they wanted it to be like a woman's choice mattered. But you know, actually they what they portray in these shows and books I learned is not very accurate. Apparently the average age women got married back then was 21.
Is it 21?
Like they could agree to be engaged at like 18, but the recommended age was 21 unless, you know, like you had been doing something and you need to get married for, you know, medical reasons because in 9 months you were gonna have a
Right.
little surprise.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Like a lot of it's funny because a lot of anime does that too, where they'll be like, "I'm too young to get married," and you're like, "You're 17." They're like, "Well, we'll just announce your betrothal, and then when you're ready, you'll get married." And you're like, "Oh, okay." And it's just like years later they get married. And you're like, "All right, well,
Yeah.
makes sense."
And then I think you were only really gonna be forced to marry if you were probably like really high nobility, you know, like
Or part of the royal
you're making
family, and you
powerful
needed
matches for diplomatic reasons.
diplomatic. Yes,
I was gonna say diplomacy, but then I thought diplomatic
you and
reasons sounded better.
me,
I like live
we're together
edited my
for
sentence.
diplomatic.
I was like
Yes,
live editing my sentence.
the queen has decreed you and I must smash forever. She called it diplomatic.
But yeah, I'm excited to watch more with you. I think, oh god, you'll like it.
So I'm gonna change the topic we've been talking about it for a while.
Sorry.
So I I don't know if you've ever done this. I unintentionally talked shit about my boss to like my boss's boss.
Oh
And
no.
because I talk to them all the
How'd
time.
that go?
So the way our like company structure is very strange. It's not a typical one. It's very atypical because of the position we're in. So my boss, right, is in charge of the company,
Mhm.
but the people that he's in charge of, half of them outrank him.
Okay.
Like they hold more authority and more power than him, but he's in charge of like tasking and things, right? So
So,
it
like,
was a whole
an
thing. It
administrative
is
manager and, like, the people that are in the other positions?
yeah, sort of like that. It's like if you had like it's like if you walked into a corporate office and you saw the guy up front and you were just like, "Hey," and he's like, "Hey, I manage all these people and this office and everything we do." And you're like, "Cool. Where's the guy that runs everything?" And you're like, "Oh, he's down the hall." And then that's a different guy, right? Like it's a different, Sarah. Anyway, we were setting up for this thing and I walked out a little late. Normally I help set up for all these things because it's part of like my job, right? I walked out a little late. It was supposed to start at 1. I walked out at like 12:55, 56. I don't know, somewhere like a few minutes beforehand. And I was like, oh no, like we got to set up for this, right?
Mhm.
So I'm getting I walk over because I see my boss doing it. And I was like, hey, sir, you good to go? You need me to help? And he was like, no, we should be good. I got it. You're good. And I was like, okay. And I walked off, right? So I was like, oh, he's got it. He knows what's happening. He's probably been working on this for a few minutes because he took over because I wasn't there. I'm like, I don't want to step on his toes. So I walked away, right?
Mhm.
Well, the event, like the company event, was supposed to start at 1. So everyone got there at 1 because like everyone had to be there at 1. And so I'm standing there like off to the side. He's still setting stuff up, but it only been like 3-4 minutes since I'd asked if he what he needed me to do. And he said nothing. He's got it. And I was like, okay, sounds good. Well, my boss's boss was standing there, and I'm friends with her. Like we talk, pretty
Mhm.
frequently when I'm working there. And she goes, "You're letting him do all this?" And I said, "What's that?" And I was like caught off guard because we don't talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like, "What's that, ma'am? You need me for something?" And she goes like, "Oh, he's setting up by himself. You're just gonna leave him out there like that?" I said, "No, ma'am. I asked him a few minutes ago if he needed help, and he said he's got it all in hand." And she goes, "Oh." And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "That's not what he should be doing. He should be using you for this stuff." And I was like, I tried to help, but I didn't want to like get in his way and do this and that. And she's like, hmm. I was like, oh, well, all right then. That's okay. Right. And so then another person comes over who is equally ranked as her,
Mhm.
like also my boss's boss. And they're chatting, this and that. And she leans over and she tells him, this other his other boss, she's like, she's like, I don't know. Yeah, and because he was like, "Wasn't this supposed to start at 1? Like, why are we starting so late?" And she leaned over and she's like, "Oh well, he said he's got it in hand, and he told his number two, me." She goes, "He told his number two to fuck off, basically." And I was like, "That is not at all what happened." I was like, "Whoa,
He said he
hold on."
didn't need help, bro.
I was like, so then the other boss that was there, he's like, "Is that what happened?" And I said, "Well, not exactly, sir." I was like, "I just asked if he needed help or what he needed me to do," and he said he got it handled. And he goes, okay.
Okay, what?
And then they both walked off like towards him, and I was like, "Oh, is he about to get in trouble for this?" I was like, "My boss didn't do anything wrong." I was like, "He just told me he didn't need help for this, so I thought he didn't need help." Which is like half on me, half on him, I guess. Like I
Mhm.
should have known he needed help. But anyway, I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I didn't want to like shit talk him in front of like
Yeah.
such high. I was like, "Oh fuck,"
You're like, "That is
because so
not
they
my
they
intention."
were like walking straight towards him with like a purpose, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm fucked." Like I'm fucked. He's fucked. I don't know. My bad. And I was like, "I'm gonna stay late tonight. He's gonna make me work late." Like, and so then they walked over. They get within like a few feet of him, and then they immediately turn 90 degrees to the left, and they sit down in the chairs. And I was like, "What the?
Were
All
they just trying
right."
to scare you?
No, they were just sitting in the front row because the thing was about to start. And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Oh,"
Woo!
I was like, "All right, okay, good." I was like, I so did not mean to like just trash on him. Now I was like, "Yeah, he said he's got it, so he's got it." Like it was just me like being like, "Yeah, I trust his decision
Yeah.
making," And they're like, no, you should not have. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, my
Maybe
bad.
that says more about him than you.
It does. Here's why. I understand it too. Like, I immediately was like, I understand your like feelings towards it because I feel the same way about things. But he's he's getting swapped out of that position here in a few months. So they're like, but I was like, but those are the people who like directly like evaluate his performance. And I was like, I didn't mean to talk shit like that.
Mhm.
I was like, he's not a bad guy, but he just hasn't got the greatest judgment on it. But I was like, ugh, my bad. That's what happened. And I was utterly terrified for like 20 seconds. And I was like, oh, well, I fucked up.
Really? My boss is pretty cool. What are you looking at my messages for?
What do you mean? You're supposed to be talking. It's your turn.
I don't really have much else to say. I've been watching My Happy Marriage on Netflix. It's a weird anime because it's like about this girl who's promised to marry this guy that's thought to be really cruel because her family hates her and abuses her. But then apparently, like, he's quite the catch. He's super attractive, super kind and sweet and caring, and like they fall in love. But then there's like a supernatural element to it that like sometimes is mentioned, and then like halfway through, suddenly it's like the main plot line.
Yeah.
And right now at the point I'm at, they're like separated by forces outside of their control, and I'm really annoyed because there's only like 2 episodes left, and I'm like, oh, there's not a second season. So
When did it come out?
I have no clue.
No, I mean, if it's recent, they might be in production for a
I feel
second.
like Netflix does a lot of first seasons of shows.
Netflix?
Yeah, it's under
that's,
Netflix
that's
original.
hit or miss. Yeah.
They cancel so much. Also, I'm paying like $17 a month. I canceled 2 subscriptions to do Netflix. And it's like $17 a month, and then it's like, do you want to upgrade for $20 a month for like 4K HD Ultra whatever bullshit?
That's the voice your TV has. That's nice. That's cool.
That's the TV sell me shit voice.
I didn't know you had like a bro Chad TV. That's cool.
Yeah,
hey, bro. Do you want to go upgrade for no ads for $7.88 a month?
Like, the reason I got rid of my Kindle is because, like, if you want a version of Kindle with no ads, you have to pay like crazy amounts of money for like an upgraded Kindle. Yeah. Or else you will always just get ads on your home screen, and I'm like, that sucks.
You remember that show we started watching? It's called Hell's Paradise.
Yeah, I like that show.
It's good. I finished the season of it. Right, boy, it's just cliffhanger after cliffhanger in that show. Like, every episode, I was like, oh shit, who's alive, who's dead, right? And then some people come back to life, some people die, and you're like, it's crazy. A lot of people die in that show. Like, it's
as one does in enemies.
Well, no, it's like main character. Like, they spend like 4 episodes like hyping up people, and then they're just like, no, they died. And it's like, well, all right,
it's okay. I watched Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy, like Game of Thrones, same shit, like same thing. They're just like, here's this. You remember his entire? No one. Do you remember his entire backstory? Now it's for nothing. And
that's okay. I hate that in TV though, because when they start building up a character that they haven't shown a lot, who's like, look how kind he is, look how heroic he is, look how idyllic he is. Next episode, dead.
No, like, there's an episode where this guy spends the entire episode like explaining why he became like the samurai that he is, and like why he's defending this girl even though she's a criminal, because he thinks that she's worthy of like living and not being like executed. And then it gets to the very end of the episode, and they get attacked by a god, and they just kill him, and that's it. And he dies horribly. Like, it's not like oh, he's dead now. No, they will show you like he dies horribly, and you're like, oh.
Have you ever seen Deep Blue Sea?
Mm-mm.
Oh my god, it's one of my favorite shark movies, and it's like the same thing. Like, Samuel L. Jackson is like giving this speech about how they like are not gonna bow down to the sharks, and they're gonna escape because they're like in this underwater like facility, and like he's like giving this great speech, and everybody's all inspired, and it's super great. And then a shark jumps out of like the like water pool thing behind him, gromps him, immediately devours him. They show him like bleeding and screaming, and then it just plunges back out of the water, and it's like dead silent, and everybody's like, let's just go.
There's only one death in the show that I was okay with, really. And it's this like everyone else, I was like excited to learn more about him, but this dude who just like shits on like the second main character, who's just like, you're a woman, you can never fulfill your role as a samurai, like you should just go back home now.
Even though she's awesome.
Spends like 2 whole episodes talking about that, and then at the very end of the second episode, there's like a 5-second clip where he's tying a boat to a tree and he turns around and just gets murdered. And you're like, well, it sucks for
Have
you,
I seen that
bud.
episode? That sounds familiar.
Yeah. But I finished the whole season, right? I love the story. It's great. So many cliffhangers. Like it's like everyone gets separated from each other. They're all in different places at the end. And like the very last episode, I was like, that's not the last episode. Like literally nothing got accomplished. And I was looking at like through all the comments and like the news articles and stuff, and they're like, yeah, they already confirmed season two's in production right now. And I was like, still, like, I want it now. You know, I thought that was very upsetting. Like, I don't know if you might finish it with sometime, but
Oh, I thought you wanted to watch it together, so I haven't kept watching it. I don't if we start, like, watching
if
something together,
we
I don't keep watching it unless I know it's okay. Because like, you got mad at me for finishing that one anime because I thought you said it was okay, but then you weren't okay with it, so now I just don't
no,
finish anything.
that was like we hadn't watched it in like a week. Anytime I watch something by myself that we have started together, it's been like 2 months plus since we've started watching. And
Mhm.
I'm like, look, the last episode's been out for almost a month now. I'm like, if we were gonna watch it, we'll watch it together, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it. You know, it's not like it's bad. I'll watch it again. Great,
Okay, I can keep watching
but
then. Okay, so I don't watch a ton of anime. Most of the reason I watched my Happy Marriage is because it was in English and I was playing The Sims.
yeah, you can listen to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the ending is just it's crazy. Like
How crazy.
the main character, they're just like kind of just destroy his whole mind. They're just like, nah, we don't need to. I don't know if you want me to spoil it or not. You if you're gonna watch it, I won't. But
Spoiler alert, Jordan's gonna spoil it. No, I love being I prefer things to be
okay,
spoiled,
so
frankly.
like you remember how like he's portrayed as like the most evil dude, right? And he started to change in like the first couple episodes because his wife, like he has memories of his wife, like
Mhm.
being like, hey, you need to change and you're not heartless and this and that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the very last episode, he like passes out because he's been trying too hard and like this like he's exhausted, right? Passes out because he uses too much of like his life force basically, and to where he goes into like a little mini coma. He's asleep for like a day or something like that. He wakes up and everyone's like, "Hey, welcome back." And then he looks around and then it cuts to like his inner monologue, and his inner monologue's like, where am I? What am I doing here? He forgets everything. And then he's just sitting there and he goes, and they erased the memory of his wife from his head. He doesn't remember his wife at all because he's just like, I don't know if she ever existed, so I'm just gonna ignore it, and just cuts her out of his memory completely. So then it just literally like the last shot of the season is just him sitting on a little cliffside, like wondering how he's gonna kill everybody and escape this place that he's in because he doesn't know where he's at or
I
what
wonder
he's
if they're
doing
gonna do
there.
a second season
They
where he
could
gets his memory back.
I don't know if he's gonna get
'Cause I'm
back,
gonna
but they
cry.
confirmed the second season.
That's like To the Moon.
It's in production. Where like he has no idea why he's there. He doesn't know why he's on the island. Doesn't have any memories of his wife. All he has memories of is him being like trained to be this like lethal assassin dude, and
Is
that's
that
it.
what they do to everyone on the island? Is that like the secret?
No, their secret is that they are humans that wash up there. They kill them most of the way, and then they throw them in like a giant hole, and they become like part of the island. And then the island transforms them into like the elixir of life, and the gods drink it to keep themselves young forever. So
That's creepy.
they kill people just to stay alive. It's pretty fun.
I'm familiar with the plot. I like that.
hmm The gods are good. Like the gods that are on there, they're all based off of different flowers, which I think is funny.
Yeah.
Like one of them transforms into like a tulip, and the other one
That's
transforms into like a peony. It's pretty
kinda
funny.
nice. I like that.
Yeah, like it's their like final evolution, like their final form to fight people, and he transforms into like a peony that just like stings people and turns them into flowers. Like it's a whole thing, and you're like, what
You
the?
know what? The earth would be better with more flowers.
But then there's also like I don't okay. There's like, do you remember the little girl in the? I don't know if we got that far when
For
we watched
sure.
it in that show. There's a little girl who lives on the island with like an
No.
elder like tree.
No.
Okay, so they come across this village and there's a little girl and she lives with the tree guy, and they're like, "Hey, can you show us the elixir of life?" And she just doesn't talk right, this and that. Anyway, so they find out she's actually one of the gods. There's there's supposed to be 8, but there's only 7 because they cast her out because she doesn't have full control over her powers. So like
Oh.
they basically kicked her out. And then like you find that out and you're like, "Oh, okay, makes sense." And then you find out that all of like the demigods that are like mixed with like it's not like demigods like you're thinking like they're like human and they're just extra strong. No, it's like half human, like half centipede. Like they're
Oh, the like
mixed
weird
in.
things that they were all crawling around the island,
No,
or
even worse. They're like mixed in, right? Well, they believe and like the whole religion on the island believes that like you get more powerful by having sex with one another, right?
okay,
And so the main seven gods cast out the little girl who's the eighth god, and all the demigods were like, "What happens to her now?" And all the seven gods were like, "She's yours." And you can fill in the blanks after that.
yeah,
And so she ran away. And there's an episode where they're like, "We would like her back. We need more power. Come back to us." And she's utterly terrified. And then they just proceed to kill a lot of demigods. And you're like, good. Like, fuck those dudes. Like, it was not a fun thing to like I'm like, thank goodness nobody like drew that, you know, but they insinuated and they were like, come back to us. She belongs with us. And she's like, no.
I know
I was like,
when you showed me the Goblin Slayer. Oh my god, I was not prepared for that first episode. Like I knew what was
I
gonna
told
happen.
you.
No, because you were like something really awful and terrible happens. Like it's
I
really
was
pretty
like, the
bad.
first episode has a lot of blood and there's rape and it's gonna like it
And
happens
like
and you're like, oh, okay, I've seen animes like this before, and I was like, all right, and we watched it and you're like, I was not ready. I'm like, I tried to warn
it was
you.
like
Like,
much
oh,
more
season 2 of
graphic
that
than I
is out, by the
noticed.
way.
There's a season
Yeah, they I think they just
2.
finished season
Huzzah!
2. Like it just released, not
That's
like they
cash
just finished
money.
it. Yeah, I need to watch season 2. It's really good.
Are we watching it together or separate?
I don't know. Depends on when we start, because if we're watching Bridget, I'm gonna watch it by myself.
Okay, we're watching Bridgerton.
Okay.
No, that's great. I really like it though. Like I feel like it handles all of those subjects like really delicately and like it wasn't
Mhm.
like gratuitous, you know? Like it was pretty brutal and like realistic and honest. So I was like, it's fine. I hate it, but it's fine.
Yeah, it was something
Plus,
for
I've
sure.
seen all of the I Spit on Your Grave movies.
I don't know what those are.
They're a series of horror movies where basically like people rape a woman and then she proceeds to take revenge on them. Very graphic. But like my favorite, there's in the second one, this woman's like she wants to be a model and she moves to New York and then she's like kidnapped by these like Russian or Ukrainian guys or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and they like rape her for months and keep her tied up and stuff, and then they drop her into the sewers in like a case basically, so she'll die. Because at one point she'd gotten out and escaped, but the person who found her brought her back to them.
Mhm.
Um, so like they seal her in the floor so she'll die, but the floor's not stable and she crashes down to the sewers. She gets out, she like eats rats and shit to survive, watches these people through the cracks of her floor. It's so disgusting, but my favorite scene is like where she kills one of these guys. She like strings him up in the sewers and like cuts his chest and then like takes the sewage and like smears it in his wounds, and it shows like the progression of like things
The
festering and
infection,
like
yeah.
things feeding on him, and then she just leaves him there with the rats, and it's like a chef's kiss, like very much deserved, you know.
Have you ever watched, what was that movie called? It was a movie about, Edgar Allan Poe.
Poe?
It might have just been Poe. It's got,
Is it new or old?
it's got John Cusack in it.
Is it like a newer or an old movie?
It's newer.
Then no, I haven't seen it. The ones I've seen are old.
I think you'd like the newer one. It's really good. It's, it's about his life basically, and the whole theme of it is people start dying around like around around town wherever, and the police can't figure it out, and it turns out that one of the detectives likes reading Edgar Allan Poe's stories, and he's like, every one of these murders is one of his stories. So then they start to suspect him, and like it's a whole thing. And so basically, there's a serial killer who loves Edgar Allan Poe's stories and is using them as inspiration to kill people, and is basically like extorting him, like, "Hey, if you don't put out a story, this and that, right? Like, you need to do this." And it's a whole back and forth between like all three of like the police are trying to catch him, he's trying to catch them, the police are
Mhm.
trying to figure out what's going on. And I really like the ending because typically you're just like, "Oh yeah, well they're gonna find whoever the killer is and they'll stop him. They'll either arrest him or they'll kill him, right? And there's a fun twist in it. I think you'd like it too, of where they're like, "Oh, he got away," and you're like, "Damn, that's really upsetting." You know, it's like he got away, and then you're just like, "Oh no, wait, never mind, he died." Like it's very like, "Oh, okay." And it also
Yeah,
it ties
Poe's death is
into
very
it.
mysterious.
That's what I was gonna. You're on the nose. I was bringing it up because it brings it up like there's an article that got pulled up or just like one of the black screens with some title like text over it of like one day uh, Edgar Allan Poe was just found dead on a park bench and no one knows how he dies, but in the movie they explain it like they theorize
Like,
about it,
yeah.
what, right? It's actually a really good like theory. I like it as like the reason why he like was found like on a park bench. I don't
If
know if
there is
you
an
want me to.
afterlife, I hope Edgar Allan Poe is listening to this. Like, do go on.
Right. Well, the movie has like the serial killer is extorting him and basically said, "I have the love of your life. I'll let her go or I'll kill her with your most brutal story. It's up to you." And
I thought his wife was already dead at that point.
I can't remember. It's his wife. I don't think he ever got married in that, but I don't think he ever got married.
Yeah, he married his cousin, and then she died
Either
of
way,
tuberculosis.
sure. I don't know. I don't know if that part's still true,
I'd have to
but
look it up to confirm. If you're listening to this and I'm wrong, please tell me.
I
But
don't
I
I
think
don't
that's
know.
what
I
happened.
I didn't know he was married or anything. But like the killer's like extorting her or extorting him, excuse me. And is basically like, "Hey, you can finish out the story and drink this poison or I'll kill her," right? So then he goes to a park bench like after writing down like all the instructions on how to catch the killer,
Mhm.
but he's running out of time and he can't do it himself. So then he drinks the poison while he's on a park bench and then they just find him there dead.
Wouldn't they find wherever he drank the poison from?
I don't know. I can't remember. He may have like drank it and then wandered over the park. I don't know. But that's like that's
But
what they go for,
it
and
is
I was
very
like, "Oh, that's
mysterious.
nice."
Like, he was just found dead one day. I thought he was found face down, like face up in an alley.
What do you think your passphrase would be if you were in another world and you had to identify somebody?
Like, for someone to identify me with?
No, like each other. Like like say in this life, right? And you were just like, we're gonna die soon, but we'll find each other in the next life, and you had to come up with a passphrase so that you knew it was like really you, like the two of us in other
Well, we probably
bodies.
shouldn't share that with the whole internet.
Well, yeah, we can fix it later, but what was your first thought? It's gotta be something like it wouldn't sound outrageous if you said it in like the next life, you know? But like to where people would like questioning like your like sanity,
Like, do
but
you
like
have the
unique
time?
enough. See, like that's not unique. Like
No,
that's like okay.
it would be like, "Do you have the time?"
Huh?
"Oh, never mind, it's 12:48."
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I could see it maybe. But eh, no, what if it is 12:48 though? Like I don't.
Just stare intensely.
That's something, but you gotta have like unique, right? Like what if you go into a world and I don't know. What do you? Let me think a while. Hold on. You caught me off guard. Stop questioning me
Okay.
so intently. I could bring you like a loaf of pumpernickel bread, right? And why are you laughing already? Well, how mean! I didn't laugh at yours. And all right, I could give you the bread and be like, here is some pumpernickel bread for you. And you could be like, I always thought it tasted weird, like nickels. And I'd be like, nickels? That's crazy. Yeah,
What if this world doesn't have nickels?
exactly. If the world doesn't have nickels, but we both know what nickels are, then obviously we know that it's you and me, right? See? Like the time,
Be
that's
like,
in every world.
"Do you
But
play Skyrim VR?" What the fuck
yeah,
is Skyrim VR?
that's what I'm saying. You gotta make it not. That's why I went with bread, because every world's got bread. You could fake like, oh, I never mind pumpernickel tastes like pumpernickel. But like you can't be like, do you have Skyrim VR? And they'd be like, what the fuck are you, witch? Like they'd burn you. Like that's crazy.
You'd be like, "It's just a silly card game. Please
Game.
pay me no mind.
I
I'm but a
like that you're
wench."
like an English wench in this also. Like couldn't just be a regular, like you were just in another place, but
Oh,
sure.
non, it is not possible.
If you die,
Okay.
I'm sorry. When you die,
Okay.
would you, what? You're not immortal. When
Yeah.
you die,
Okay, do go on.
would you Would you want to be reincarnated in the past or the future? You have all the same knowledge that you have now. Let's go with that.
The future?
The future. Okay, why?
I would hope that there are more rights for people and I could experience cool technology.
You can get to the future and be like, "What's this?" And be like, "Capitalism," and you'd be like, "Oh fuck, no,
It's still here.
go back, go back."
I
Like,
miss old
you're
capitalism.
like, what happened? But like, they just charged you for breathing. Like, what? I don't.
Welcome to Earth. Do you have your certified breathing tank? We're still cleaning the trash from World War 74.
I'd go to the past, but I think it'd have to be far enough in the past or close enough in the past. Like in the middle would be shitty, you know. Like if
I
I,
think I love being a woman and going to the past would be really difficult. Like,
yeah, you have a different perspective on it than I do, obviously. Like if I went back and I was like in the 50s, not great because like I don't know what's going on in the fucking 50s. Like I don't, I don't have that knowledge. I don't know what the fuck's. I'm like, oh, cool. Do we all have tuberculosis or just some of us? I don't. Smallpox. I don't know.
I think the 60s and
Polio.
70s would be a great time to live through.
Everything can be all right, but like and then any further back from that, and you're just like, man, I'm at risk of being drafted. Like I'll be in World War I, World War II, and everyone. I don't know if you've seen those results of those like polls that people put out. They're just like, if you were in World War I, do you think you survive, or World War II, do you think you survive? And like overwhelmingly, there's a lot of people that say yes. You would not, okay?
Didn't
Like
like
it's
50% of troops die or something like that?
like the percentage of people that died compared to came back uninjured or like like died and maimed compared to coming back uninjured is crazy.
Yeah,
Like the
it
amount of
changed an
people.
entire generation.
That's what I'm saying. Like right after World War I, they were like, we need stronger and physical fit like bodies, and they enacted the president's physical fitness like program. Right?
Mhm.
You ever heard about that?
No.
They put out like the White House put out like the federal government said, "Hey, this is the physical education that you will give every high school student," and it was fucking intense. Like it was they paid for like pull up bars and like lateral bars and like walls that people had to climb over and shit. Like they were training an entire generation of high school students to go to war. Like that's what it was.
Is that why we have PE?
Yeah, pretty much. Like it was physical education that they were like, "Hey, in high school, you're gonna teach people to be fit because we need more soldiers." Like that was pretty much like it was like a
I really
poop.
thwarted them when I got a physical waiver for doing color guard.
Yeah, it was like it's crazy. Like you can still find like black and white videos of like the president's physical education program. It's pretty fun.
You remember the Pacer Fitness program?
No, it sounds familiar, but I don't know what it
Like
is.
where you start at one side of the gym and they're like, when you hear the beep,
Oh yeah,
run to the other side.
yeah.
Remember to pace yourself. This will get faster and faster, or whatever the
Yeah,
fuck it
I've had
says,
to do that a few times. Well, a couple times for uh the test itself, but like the army makes us take that test every once in a while
Really?
too, or they did.
I thought it'd be kind of fun to try it as an adult, but like I was really competitive when I was a kid, so like I would race the other kids to get like as many as possible. And I was always so proud because I was always one of the only girls like left with the boys running or doing push-ups or sit-ups. And
Yeah.
now look at me. Cannot. But I think also where I grew up, like a lot of girls like pretended they weren't fit in like 6th grade. Like I would know girls who were like in baseball and football and stuff, or like I'd keep doing the sit-ups because they would give us a test in the very beginning of class before I moved to Vegas, and I kept doing them. And some girls were just like, "Oh, I can't do it anymore." And I'm like, "Girl, you play volleyball. Like, why are you trying to appear like delicate and small? Like, you kick ass, you know?"
Mm.
Just stuff like that. I found it very interesting. Muy interesante.
Yeah.
Sí. I've been practicing my Spanish on customers lately. I hope they don't hate me.
Yeah.
They always smile, but they don't laugh anymore. So that's a good sign, I think. What you doing, baby?
So I was looking it up because we were just talking about it. The amount of like World War I who died and who got
Mhm.
injured, right? So during World War I, there was about 40 to 50 million soldiers that were deployed. Like 40 to 50
Mhm.
million people. Of that, 14% died. 6,000 people a day died, right?
Is that like for our country or like the
No,
whole war?
that's all of them. That's everybody. Like averaging
That's
it out.
14% of the global
14%.
population.
No. 14% of the people that were deployed.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's a
the
much
whole
bigger.
world.
That's a much bigger number.
Fuck,
No,
sorry,
14% of the soldiers died. So you're already here. You have an 86% chance of coming back, right? Of those, that 86% chance, there was a third of the remaining soldiers that came back injured or severely injured. So you now have, instead of 64, or excuse me, 86, I don't know where I got 64, 86, you take away 33% of that. So now you're at a 53% chance, right? So you have a 53% chance of coming back. It was like, yes, sure. I mean, you have
What's
over
the breakdown
half.
per country?
I have no idea. But I'd have to look it up. But like, you have over half, sure. But like, people that that put that in that poll, like, yeah, I'd come back unharmed. You would not. You have a 53% chance. That's like flipping a coin and calling heads, and it lands on heads, and you're like, oh, perfect, I'll survive the war. And you're like, maybe you would, but like 50% of the people will not. Like, it's crazy. Wild that you would believe that.
Did you vote yet?
This is World War One. No, I haven't. Is that your closing argument? Go ahead.
I voted.
And that's going to do
already.
it for us this week. Unless you have more stories,
go
on.
Vote. Whoever you vote for, vote. Do it.
Just
don't complain
vote.
about the future if you don't vote.
The people who should vote more than anyone is the youngest generation that's able to vote. Because in the last election, or excuse me, the last midterms, of the people that were eligible to vote, only like 20-something% of them voted.
In our state alone, it was like 16% of eligible voters.
Yes.
Like, it was like
if
one of the lowest
you are
participation
unhappy
rates.
with anything, go vote. If you're happy with anything, go vote again.
I voted.
Go vote on whatever you
I was
believe
mad
in,
about it, but I did.
Go vote on it.
Okay.
And if you're in Alabama, I'm sorry if you were trying to start a family. That sucks. But
it's not funny though. It's not.
Quiet.
There's a TikTok. It's like they start laughing and they're like, it's not funny, is it? It's quite sad, is really what it is. I don't know what that's from. It's like a reality show or something. But like they're laughing at something tragic, and they're like, it's not funny, is it though?
But
wherever you are, we hope you have a good day and you have good. Yes, I can't.
All right, I'll do it then.
I was trying to say something witty, but I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, I bet.
You say the outro then.
Mister. Well, this has been Mindless Prattle. Thank you for joining us for another episode. We hope you have fun. We know we did. And we do hope you go vote in whatever you believe in. Unless it's the wrong thing, then don't vote for that.
What he said.
And above all, have a moist day. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.